If someone asked me what changed my life forever, I wouldn't talk about an accident or a broken relationship. I would simply mention a message, a video, and a cold evening in my small apartment in Denver. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come with shouting matches. It comes more gently, like an accidental touch, but still strong enough to shatter everything. And the worst part is, when the people you love the most are the first to push you off the edge. I lost my entire family in just a few minutes. And it all started with a short notification on my phone. My name is Caitlin Brooks. I'm 29 years old, living alone in a small apartment in the Capitol Hill area of Denver. That night, like any other night, I was in the kitchen preparing a simple dinner of roasted chicken and vegetables. My phone was resting on the granite countertop, and when the notification beeped, I glanced at it absentmindedly. The screen displayed, Aunt Vivian sent a video. I wiped my hands on a towel, picked up the phone and tapped the message without thinking. I figured Aunt Vivian, my mother's sister, was just sending me an old family clip, like she often did during anniversaries. But this time, it was different. From the very first second, I knew. The video was blurry, the camera shaking, as if someone had accidentally set the phone down without realizing it was recording. The screen was dark, but the voices came through loud and clear. My mother's voice, Donna Brooks, filled the space with pure disdain. Caitlin should be grateful to us. Without this family, she would be nothing. My hand froze, the phone turning icy cold in my palm. Then I heard my father, Henry Brooks, laughing harshly. A pathetic failure. But at least she's good for something, paying all the bills. Their laughter, mixed with the clinking of glasses, pierced straight into my chest like a sharp knife. I wanted to stop the video to tell myself I had misheard. But before I could do anything, Aunt Vivian, the one who sent the video, spoke, half joking, half sour. If Caitlin ever stops sending money, it's easy, just guilt her. She's too soft to say no. My heart tightened. By name. Caitlin. Not someone else. Not a joke. Not a misunderstanding. It was me. I stood frozen in the kitchen, the cooking spoon still on the stove, the chicken starting to smoke. My whole body went numb, only their words echoing in my mind. Failure, paying bills, too soft. And then pop. The screen went black. A cold notification appeared. Message has been unsent. Aunt Vivian had realized her mistake. She must have panicked and deleted the video, hoping I hadn't seen it. But it was too late. I set the phone down on the countertop, feeling like the world had just cracked beneath my feet. I should have called them right then. I should have screamed at them, asked how they could look down on me like that. But I did nothing. I just stood there, in the dim yellow kitchen light, letting the pain seep into every corner of my heart. No reaction. No confrontation. No anger. Just silence. And in that moment, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I didn't sleep that night. I sat curled up on the sofa, hugging a pillow, staring into the darkness outside the window. The December wind howled through the empty streets of Denver, making the window panes rattle. In my mind, their words replayed like a nightmarish film. Caitlin should be grateful. She's nothing. Just make her feel guilty. A part of me still wanted to defend them. Maybe they were just joking, maybe they were drunk. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had always known. I had just been too scared to admit it. Since I was 22, fresh out of college and working my first job at a small insurance company, I had been the financial backbone for the whole family. The first month's rent for my parents, I paid it. My brother Nathan's car loan, I co-signed. Every time my mother called, saying the electricity was about to be cut off, I wired money without hesitation. I had convinced myself it was out of love. Family was supposed to support each other. Family meant helping one another. But in their eyes, I was just an ATM. A weak, foolish, and pathetic daughter. Near dawn, I still hadn't slept. When the first light crept through the window, I picked up my phone, checking messages out of old habit. And then, as if the universe was mocking me, a new message from my mother appeared. Good morning, sweetheart. Hope everything's okay. Love you. I stared at the message, feeling hollow inside. Fake. Calculated. Mother says, my mother never texted just to check in. There was always a reason. And sure enough, a few minutes later, another message came. By the way, rent's due again. Could you send it by today? Love you lots. That love you lots made my stomach turn. I set my coffee down, opened the keyboard on my phone. Normally, I would have replied something like, of course, or I'll send it right away. But this time, my fingers paused over the screen. Instead, I typed, I'm sorry, I can't send anything this month. I hit send. No explanations. No long apologies. No justifications. I set my phone down, my heart pounding against my ribs. Outside, the first snow of the season was falling, gently covering the rooftops across the street. I sat there, waiting for the storm to begin. And I knew. This was only the beginning. As soon as I hit send, the first thing I noticed was silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that lasted nearly 2 minutes. I sat, curled up on the sofa, the cold coffee forgotten on the table, eyes fixed on the phone screen. And then, Buddy? A new message from my mother. Caitlin, what are you talking about? You can't send. I don't understand. I took a deep breath. No rush to reply. I had been waiting for this moment all night. And I knew, the longer I stayed silent, the more they would lose control. A few seconds later, another message came. Caitlin, this is serious. We don't have enough money for rent this month. You know that, right? Then another message came. Without you, we'll be evicted. Nathan won't have a place to stay. I smiled faintly, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone finally seeing the naked truth. About 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Aunt Vivian. Caitlin, everyone is really worried. Are you okay? Call me if you need to talk. Another sweet trap. I didn't even need to read between the lines to understand the hidden meaning. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about losing their walking. I picked up my phone and quickly typed a reply. Vivian, I'm fine. I just have some unexpected expenses this month, so I can't help. Hope everyone understands. I sent it without a hint of guilt. The reaction came faster than I expected. Messages from my mother poured in, each line like a whip across my face. We're family, Caitlin. You can't treat us like strangers. I raised you, and now you're turning your back on the ones who gave you life? If your father, Nathan, and I end up homeless, it's your fault. I leaned back on the sofa, relaxing my body, letting their accusations pass through me like a cold wind. By noon, my phone buzzed again. This time, a call. I didn't even need to look at the screen to know who it was. My mother. I let the phone ring. 5 times. Dead times. Finally, I switched it to silent mode and placed it face down on the table. I had spent my whole life listening to them. Now it was time for me to listen to my own silence. That afternoon, while brewing tea in the kitchen, I received another wave of messages. First, from Nathan, my younger brother. The one I had once paid college tuition for, even though he dropped out after his sophomore year. Caitlin, what the hell are you doing? You know the family needs you. And then another message. Mom and Dad are freaking out because of you. Just send the money. How hard is that? I set my teacup down, the water sloshing over the rim. All these years, had Nathan ever once asked if I was struggling? Had my mother ever asked if I was okay? Never. All they knew was Caitlin would always send the money. Caitlin would always nod. Caitlin would never dare to say no. Around 6 p.m., as the city of Denver lit up for the night, I received a long message from my father. Caitlin, this has gone too far. You need to remember that family is forever. Don't act like a selfish child. We've sacrificed so much for you. Now it's your turn to take responsibility for your family. I let out a dry laugh. Sacrifice? I worked 3 part-time jobs to pay my own college tuition. I rented cheap rooms, lived on instant noodles for 4 years. I worked my way up to my current managerial position without a single penny of their support. Their sacrifice? Was it calling me every month to remind me to transfer money? No, I owed them nothing. That evening, I decided to take one more step. I blocked my mother's number, my father's, Aunt Vivian's, and Nathan's. A wave of relief washed over me, like I had finally broken the invisible chain wrapped around my neck for years. I stood by the window, watching the heavy snow fall outside, and for the first time in a very long time, I felt free. But freedom doesn't come easily. The next morning, as I sipped my coffee, a loud knock echoed through the apartment. I frowned. No one visited me at this hour, unless... Walked to the door, and as expected, Nathan was there. His jacket wrinkled, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. "What the hell are you doing?" he snapped, cutting through my peaceful morning. I crossed my arms calmly. "Good morning to you too, Nathan." "Cut the crap," he barked. "You've messed everything up. The whole family is freaking out. You can't just disappear like this." I leaned against the doorframe, eyes fixed on the familiar face. The one that once made me soften, but now only made me tired. "So what?" I asked quietly. Nathan clenched his fists, as if holding himself back from shouting. "You owe them. You owe this family." I shook my head, smiling sadly. "I don't owe anyone, Nathan. And if you need money, go get a job. I'm not your personal bank." Nathan stammered, his face flushing red with rage. "You're selfish, a traitor. Don't come crying when you fall and have no one left." I looked him straight in the eyes. I'd rather be alone than live as a walking wallet. Without waiting for a reply, I slowly closed the door, the creak of the hinge echoing like a final declaration. That night, I sat by the window, my laptop open in front of me. No more messages. No more calls. Just me, alone, and silence. But this time, the silence wasn't frightening. It was peace. It was a beginning. I knew there would be storms ahead. My family wouldn't give up easily. They would try to pull me back, with tears, with guilt, with anger. But I also knew I had chosen myself. And this time, I wasn't going back. 3 days after I blocked all contact, I thought I had cleared everything. I thought my family would give up, accepting that I was no longer their mobile ATM. But I had underestimated them. That morning, just as I left the downtown grocery store carrying a paper bag full of groceries, I heard a loud voice behind me. "And Caitlin." I froze. That voice, even if it turned to dust, I would recognize it anywhere. My mother's. I slowly turned around. My mother, Donna Brooks, was standing there, wrapped in a thick beige coat, her face gaunt, her eyes bloodshot. Beside her, my father, Henry Brooks, stood with arms crossed, his gaze dark and his face hard as stone. And Nathan, too, standing a little further back, hands in his pockets, looking at me with pure anger. They were all there. A family showdown I knew was inevitable. I tightened my grip on the paper bag, keeping my voice steady. "What are you all doing here?" My mother stepped forward, her voice urgent. "We need to talk, Caitlin. You can't just disappear like that." He raised an eyebrow. "Disappear? I just stopped sending money, Mom." My father stepped closer, his voice heavy. "Don't be disrespectful, Caitlin. We are family. You can't just turn your back like this." Nathan chimed in, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Who do you think you are, some kind of queen? Got a little money and now you think you're better than us?" I let out a cold smile. "I think I'm the only one in this family taking responsibility for my own life." My mother's face darkened. "You're ungrateful. We raised you, Aunt Vivian, the whole family. We were always there for you." I gripped the paper bag even tighter, my nails digging into the brown paper. "There for me, or there for my wallet?" My father slammed his hand against a streetlight pole, startling a few nearby pedestrians. "Enough! I won't accept having an ungrateful daughter like you." I could feel the blood rushing to my face. But this time I wasn't afraid. For the first time in my life, I looked straight at them without flinching. "Ungrateful? Let me tell you what being ungrateful really looks like. I took a deep breath, my voice clear and unwavering. The day I graduated college, where were you? I stood alone in the courtyard, watching others hug their parents, while I took a selfie and celebrated with a cold burger. The day I lost my first job when the company went bankrupt, I called you, Mom. And you said, maybe you just weren't good enough. The day I collapsed from exhaustion and ended up in the hospital, I texted you for help. And you replied, who's going to pay the hospital bill? Figure it out yourself. All three of them stood frozen. They had never heard me speak like this. I took a step closer, each word a dagger thrown at their facade of righteousness. You only remember me when you need money. You only call me family when you need me to bail you out. Nathan stammered. You're blowing this out of proportion. I laughed. A sharp, cold laugh. Blowing it out of proportion? I haven't even started. I pulled out my phone, opened the email draft I had prepared, listing every payment, every bank transfer, every check I had sent over the past 7 years, and held it up. Care. Proof of my sacrifices. Over $120,000, 0 cents. Every penny earned through my own blood and sweat. My father lunged forward to grab the phone, but I pulled it back quickly. Not that easy. And I looked at each one of them. Her mother. Tears brimming in her eyes, but I had long since grown immune to those manipulative tears. My father, boiling with rage, ready to explode. Nathan confused, a flicker of fear in his eyes. I said coldly, I owe none of you anything. From today on, I'm cutting ties. Permanently. My mother burst out. Caitlin, you can't do this. You can't abandon your family. I shook my head, my voice lowering. Family doesn't treat each other like this. Family doesn't laugh at someone's sacrifices. Family doesn't turn their children into financial slaves. My father roared, Traitor, I have no daughter like you. Ah, I smirked. Good, because from now on, I have no parents like you either. I turned and walked away, leaving behind their shouting, their curses, and the hatred they hurled at me like a storm of stones. With each step I took along the snow-covered sidewalk, I felt lighter, as if a giant boulder had finally been lifted from my shoulders. That night, I sat alone in my small apartment under the soft glow of a warm lamp, sipping red wine. I didn't cry. I didn't laugh. I simply breathed. My first free breath in nearly a decade. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from unknown numbers. I knew it was them, trying to contact me using different numbers. I blocked them all, without an ounce of regret. Before going to bed, I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. The balance showed, much smaller than before, but it was completely mine. I opened a new Word document and typed the first lines of my new life plan. Travel to Portland next spring. Find an interior design course. Start saving for my dream house. No one would steal my dreams anymore. No one would drain me dry and call it love again. Only me, and a future that was entirely mine. I don't remember exactly when I fell asleep. I only remember that when I woke up, the morning light flooded my small apartment, warm and pure like a greeting of peace. No messages, no missed calls, no demands, no pressures, no complaints. Only silence. A pure, fresh silence like a soft breeze in early summer. I stayed curled up in bed for a little while longer, allowing myself to enjoy the laziness I once always denied myself. No one needed rescuing. No one was waiting for me to solve their problems. I only needed to live for myself. I brewed a cup of black coffee and sat by the large window overlooking the awakening city of Denver. The snow from the night before had melted a bit, leaving sparkling traces on the street. I opened my laptop and started browsing travel websites. Spring in Portland. I had promised myself that. And this time, I wasn't just saying it, I was doing it. The first trip for myself. Not for anyone else. Not for any other reason but because I wanted to. I chose the departure date, late March. I booked the plane ticket, then picked a small hotel near the Willamette River, a place where I could sit for hours just reading, sketching, or simply breathing. I clicked confirm. A simple click, but it carried the weight of a solemn vow. From today, I live for myself. The next day, I walked along the old neighborhood where I had lived as a college student. When I was so poor, I had to count every dime, but so rich in dreams and self-belief. I stopped by the old coffee shop, Maple and Pine, where I once worked night shifts to afford textbooks. Sitting by the window with a latte in hand, I opened my notebook. On the first page I wrote, "Life rebuilding plan. Learn a new skill every quarter. Set realistic savings goals for my dream house. Reconnect with old friends who truly care about me. Learn to love myself more each day." I looked up and caught my reflection in the glass. A 29-year-old woman with scars inside but no longer tired eyes. A woman learning to stand tall without anyone's validation. Sometimes, old memories would still rush back. There were times I missed the family dinners, the noisy gatherings, the laughter that once seemed genuine. There were times I wondered, did they ever miss me? Did they ever regret it, even for just a fleeting second? But then I realized, the answer didn't matter anymore. Because now I no longer needed them to define my worth. I had given that to myself. I had chosen myself. One Sunday afternoon, I took a walk in Cheeseman Park near my home. The late winter air was chilly and the bare maple trees stood silently, waiting for spring. I sat down on a bench and took a deep breath. No more burdens on my shoulders. No more calculating calls. No more demanding glances. Only me, and endless possibilities ahead. Maybe I would learn to paint. Maybe I would try skydiving. Maybe I would move to a small, charming seaside town. For the first time in a long time, the future was no longer a chain of exhausting obligations. It was a blank page, and the pen was in my hands. As I stood up to leave the park, the soft golden sunlight stretched across the ground beneath my feet. Each step I took was lighter yet stronger than ever before. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be perfect. There would be lonely days. There would be nights when I wondered if I had made the right choice. But no matter what, I wasn't turning back. Because once you taste true freedom, you will never accept living on your knees again. I smiled and walked faster, letting the wind carry my smile away. As I knew, this was truly the beginning of my life. Caitlin's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes, to find true freedom, we must let go of relationships that only take without giving. Family, even bound by blood, cannot be an excuse for someone to exploit our kindness. Learning to say no, putting ourselves first, and daring to walk away from the places that hurt us, that is the truest act of self-love. In the end, life belongs to us and no one else. What do you think about Caitlin's choices and how she stood up to her family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to follow the channel to discover more heartfelt, powerful family stories in upcoming episodes.